Good morning, everybody. Elvis Photos. Apologize that I've been really off the radar. This is probably the busiest time of year for me in my job, and it gets very difficult to get this done. That being said, I didn't have time today either, but it's been several days since I've done a video, and I know y'all got used to me doing a lot of videos. I am going to get back on track to doing probably 4 videos a day. There'll probably be one at 8 o'clock in the morning, one around 10 o'clock, noon, and 2 o'clock. Or it could be 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. I'm not sure whether it's going to be every 2 hours or 3 hours. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get back to being consistent for y'all. Because I know when we're reading these books and we're talking about subjects, it is important to have some consistency. And yeah, I know I'm busy and I got a job and all this stuff, but I got some stuff coming up that's going to allow me a lot more time for y'all. So I do want to let you know that I understand there's probably a little bit of frustration on your part. And I know I've gotten some emails checking, hey, are you okay? And it's been a horrible turn of events going on out there. I mean, we had the plane crash, in D.C., all those young lives lost. Horrible, just horrible. Of course, 3 of our service members as well. And then, of course, the medevac flight in Pennsylvania. Melissa, who was our first subscriber series guest, messaged me that night about it, and terrible, just terrible. Don't know what happened. I mean, either something happened with the plane. I was wondering whether it hit a drone or something like that, because it went up 1,650 feet and then just dropped straight down, or if it was a medical emergency by the pilot. I guess we'll find out, maybe. But just terrible, I've flown quite a bit in my life, and they say it's the safest mode of travel, but and it is, it really is. I don't want to scare y'all if y'all about to go on a plane flight. It is the safest mode of travel, but I feel more in control in a car. But gosh, you just don't know what's going to happen. Somebody come across from the other side, or a wheel comes off. So anyways, I try not to live in fear, but it's one of those things where everybody who's flown or is going to fly or doesn't like to fly, they don't like seeing news like that. So where are we at in the Elvis and June book, in the Twilight of Memory? We are at chapter 7, which is Are You Lonesome Tonight? Elvis phoned the room early the next morning. Well, as a recap, they're about ready to go pick up a car. Elvis wants to take June. Gladys sat June down and said, hey, Elvis could get in trouble taking a girl across state lines unless she's 18. And she said, I assure you I'm 18. She's more like 18 and a half. So that's all settled. And here we go. Elvis phoned the room early the next morning. And again, I caught it on the first ring. I have to take care of some business this morning, so I'll pick you up at 2 o'clock. I don't know what we'll do today, but I'll think of something. Will you be there at 2? I'll be right there, I said excitedly. The girls and I drove downtown to get a bite to eat. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I feel like... Okay, I started reading that. I promise you, Mrs. Presley, Elvis could take me anywhere in the world and he'd never get in any trouble. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. I guess I read the first few pages of this. Okay, so you two go along, have a good time, said Gladys. Here we go. Not to worry, Mrs. Presley. I'll make sure he calls. Elvis was just hanging up the phone when we went back to the den. I know Elvis will take care of you, June, and I want you to take good care of him. Did my 2 favorite girls have a good talk? Elvis asked, hugging his mother and giving me a wink. Don't worry, Mama. I'll take good care of June. Elvis, I think we should keep June around. What do you think? She winked at me. She walked us out to the car. Mr. Presley started the car up and was sitting in the driver's seat. Well, the 3 of us rode in the front seat of Mrs. Presley's big pink Cadillac. The drive to the airport was very quiet. Now, Mr. Presley didn't say a word until we were getting out of the car. Son, don't forget to call your mama. Okay, Daddy, I won't forget. Well, we walked into the terminal, picked up our tickets, and went straight to the plane. Now, in those days, you had to walk outside and climb the portable stairway to the plane amid the roaring noise. Elvis never let go of my hand. I thought it was because he didn't want to lose me, but I realized after we were buckled up and ready for takeoff that he was afraid. I'm like, here we are reading about flying and all these things that just happened. Let me know in the comments, who's afraid of flying? Who's never flown? I'm kind of curious. All right, it was only a month earlier that his airplane had developed engine trouble and almost crashed somewhere in Texas. He had promised his mother that he would never fly again, only to break that promise for this trip. His last one, he promised again. Now, his grip was getting tighter and tighter. I finally had to take my hand from his and massage it to get the circulation back. Okay, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was hurting you. I hate flying. It makes me a nervous wreck. Aren't you nervous? I don't know. This is my first time on a plane. I don't know if I'm nervous or excited. I guess I'd be nervous if I wasn't sitting here next to you. What difference does that make, June? He said. Whoops, I didn't sound like what difference does it make, June? Well, it's like when we were going real fast on a motorcycle. I was scared at first, and then I thought, well, nothing can happen to me when I'm with you. You're special and loved by thousands of people, millions of people. Back then, they didn't know the scope of it, but even in '56, it was millions of people that loved Elvis. You're special and loved by thousands of people, and I think God has a special plan for you. Come on, June, be serious. I am serious. You have lots of good things yet to come. You've already touched a lot of people and made them happy for just knowing you. God knows all this. Do you think he would let anything bad happen to you? I don't. The engine started to rev up. He looked at me and smiled. You're not afraid, June? No, I'm not afraid. Well, we started down the runway, both of us looking through that little tiny window, watching the ground go by faster and faster. His left hand was folded and holding into my right hand. His left hand was on top of his left hand. My left hand was on top of his left hand. So they kind of sat with their arms crossed like this. That's sweet. Holding both hands, huh? Let me read that again. All right. His left hand was holding my right hand, and my left hand was on top of his left hand, and his right hand on top of my left. We were in the air and starting to level off when we began pulling our hands apart, just like in that kids game, where you take your hands from the bottom and move them to the top of a baseball bat. We both laughed. His tension was easing, and then I heard and felt a thud under my feet. What was that? I shrieked. That's only the landing gear. I thought you weren't afraid, he laughed. Are we going to land? I asked, trying to sound calm. No, silly. The wheels are going back under the plane. Have you ever seen a plane flying around with his wheels hanging down? Well, we both laughed. Even today I smile when I'm flying, and I feel the thud of the landing gear. I love you, June Monico. I love you too, Elvis Presley. You're the most fun person I've ever known. Well, the cloud formations all looked like cartoon characters. We found Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and even Popeye with his pipe in his mouth. One of my favorite shows growing up, Popeye. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I liked Wimpy. I'd gladly pay you for a hamburger tomorrow for a hamburger today or something like that. Well, we talked about our families and about doing funny things when we were kids. He asked if I had any precious memories, but I couldn't think of any memory I considered precious. I have one precious memory, June, and it happened recently. It was a look on my mother's face when I gave her the gold record, A Heartbreak Hotel. It's a memory I'll cherish for the rest of my life. Well, the stewardess came down the aisle with a notebook in her hand, asking all the passengers their name and destination. Well, I wanted to know why. They'd already taken our names at the ticket counter. Elvis said he didn't know why. It was in case we crashed or something, probably. The captain's voice came over the scratchy PA system, announcing the time of day and the current temperature. We would be landing in approximately 15 minutes, and we were advised to buckle our seatbelts. The plane landed smoothly on the runway, my first flight, and one that I would never forget. We collected our luggage and took a taxi to the hotel. Now, Elvis signed the register and then passed it to me. As I signed, I noticed that we had different room numbers. I was relieved and disappointed at the same time. Well, the desk clerk rang and motioned for a bellboy, but Elvis stopped him. That's okay. Don't bother. We only have these 2 bags, and I'm sure we can find the rooms. Thank you very much. We went to my room first, long enough to close the door behind us and steal a quick kiss. He picked up both suitcases again. Now let's go see my room. We got back in the elevator and went up 1 floor. They could have put us on the same floor, I complained. We found Elvis's room, only it wasn't a room at all. It was a big, beautiful suite. This is better, don't you think? We'll stay here. He could tell I was nervous, so he pulled me close to him. June, I love you. I would never hurt you. Trust me, baby. Somehow I knew I could, but it didn't stop me from being nervous. I requested 2 rooms, he said, so no one would think that we were shacking up. Shacking up? That's an ugly way of putting it. Well, whatever you want to call it, baby. Just relax. I have too much respect for you to have anyone say or write anything ugly about you. Does this have anything to do with your mother asking me my age and estate lines and all that? Not silly. This is for my protection, as well as yours. Reporters can get nasty sometimes, and lately I've been making lots of headlines. Stay in this room with me tonight, June. I promise I won't do anything but hold you next to me. Well, how could I possibly not trust this beautiful, soft-spoken, gentle man? He sat on the side of the bed, motioned for me to sit next to him, and picked up the phone, and then called the Cadillac company. We went down to the front of the hotel to await the arrival of Elvis's new love, his white Cadillac. It was a white Cadillac Eldorado convertible. And no, it was not trimmed in 24-karat gold like some erroneous reports had it. He wouldn't tell me anything about the car. He wanted it to be a surprise. Well, I wanted to see if I could pick it out, so I asked him not to tell me when he saw it coming. He just laughed at me. I'll bet you can't, not in all this traffic. Well, I bet I can. You turn around and face me, and I'll tell you, I'll let you know when I see it. The 3-lane street was full of fancy cars. He figured I'd never know one from the other. Well, we stood there, me looking at the oncoming traffic and him looking at the expression on my face. I smiled and opened my eyes real wide. You see it? He asked, his voice filled with anticipation. I think so, but don't turn around yet. It's not close enough. Now, she said, turning him around just in time to see a beautiful old green clunker. He laughed, picked me up, and twirled me around. June, you're crazy. I'm going to keep you with me forever. Well, the Cadillac finally did pull up, and we both saw it at the same time. The top was down, and it was gorgeous. The driver got out of the car and without hesitation handed the keys to the easily recognizable new owner. Congratulations, Mr. Presley. She's a beauty, he exclaimed as he walked behind the Eldorado to his waiting car. Elvis opened the passenger side for me, then ran around to the driver's side. Well, I couldn't decide what was more beautiful, the car or the smile on Elvis's face. I had experienced the teenage crush before, but the feelings that I had for Elvis, they were much deeper than anything that I'd ever known. Well, after hours and hours of riding all over Houston, listening to the radio and singing along at the tops of our voices, Elvis checked the gauge on the gas tank and discovered a near empty one. While we were at the service station, he put the top up and we took off with another full tank of gas. It's a lot more fun with the top down, ain't it, June? Are you getting hungry, baby? Yes to both questions. I'm always hungry, I answered eagerly. We pulled into the drive-in restaurant and parked at the end, away from all the other cars. Well, we placed our orders through the little speakers like the ones in the drive-in theater. Now, 10 minutes later, a cute little car hop, dressed in the shortest of shorts, brought our sandwiches and drinks. I hope this little girl don't know who I am, he said, not really meaning it. He still loved people recognizing him. And I don't mean I love you like everybody else. I mean I really love you. I don't know what to say. This was the first time he had been serious talking about love. You don't believe me, do you, June? I bet you said that to all the girls, Elvis. No, I don't. Only the pretty ones, he added, joking again. No, baby, I'm just kidding. I don't say it to all the girls. I never have. I've never really felt this way about a girl before. You don't even know me, Elvis. We've only been together 4 days. No, June, it's been longer than that. We've been together like 18 to 20 hours a day for the last 4 days. It's like we had, 4 goes into 20 times. It's like we've had at least 20 days so far. Anyways, I think I love you since last summer when we first met. After all that time passed, I couldn't believe my eyes the other day when I drove into the driveway and you were there. Couldn't you tell how glad I was to see you? Well, I was glad to see you too, Elvis. Surprised. You were supposed to be on tour. I know, June. We were supposed to be together. It was fate. Everything we had to do in life is part of God's plan. It was fate. That's where we're going to stop. Page 65. Anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm actually out getting ready to go play some golf. So you see I got shorts on here. But I know y'all want my hat on, so I put it on. But I'm going to be putting a ball cap on to go. I don't know, maybe I'll leave my hat on while I golf. Somebody told me I should golf with my hat sometime. But I usually just kind of dress up like a normal golfer. You know, a ball cap. You know, something like that. Anyhow, as long as I don't get sick, my little boy just got the flu. As long as I don't get sick, I'll be doing more videos for y'all. But I did want to get you something today, okay? Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you have a great week and hope to start your week off right. This is Elvis Photos, TCB, TLC. Till next time.